This is a Pius Lang 50 blade knife, sometimes called a multi-blade knife or a horseman's knife. And the reason it's called a horseman's knife is because all of these knives include a horse hoof pick. This is a small pick put on the back spine of the knife to pick rocks or debris out of a horse's hoof. This knife, as I said, is made by Pius Lang in West Germany, actually in the Black Forest area of West Germany. This is the 5th generation family of knife makers that are making this knife. They started back in the early 1800s with Pius Lang I, who actually was smart enough to start stockpiling mother of pearl. And quite often, some of these knives, up until at least the 60s, these mother of pearl pieces were one solid piece. Now this is a little over 4 inches long, this handle piece, just a little over 4 inches. And it's almost impossible to find oyster shells or mother of pearl that's flat and good enough to use 4.5 inches long to start with. So anything after the 60s is usually this two-piece construction. You'll see this knife happens to be a 50 blade knife. As I mentioned, they do make from a 25 blade, a 50 blade, a 100 blade, and a 200 blade. Very rare. All of these knives are fairly rare, and they are serial numbered. This one happens to be even rarer, that it was made for an individual person, and it is not serial numbered. The serial numbers are usually right here on the back of the horse hoof pick, and an expert can tell which of the family members made this knife. As I said, there were 5 generations of Lang family making this knife, from Pius Lang I all the way through Gerald Lang, who's the 5th generation now making it. Walter Lang is Gerald's father, and he made many of these knives, over 400 of them. Most of the Pius Lang knives have a P and an L, or they're marked P. Lang on the blade. You'll notice this one does not. This one has a pretty rare Kilroy stamp. As I said, this was made for a specific sportsman, and his name was Branner, and this is his logo. So these knives are, as I said, completely handmade. All the blades are hand forged. They're stainless steel. Each of the back springs is hand forged, hand tempered, and all of the pieces are hand fitted. It's a fairly rare piece. Most people will not see these in their lifetime unless they're hardcore knife collectors or they've come to specialty knife shows. And depending on the size and how many blades, these range anywhere from about 1 pound all the way up to about 2.5 or 3 pounds for the 200 blade. And in the olden days, they actually came with their own custom-made chest, similar to a pirate's chest, but it was a handmade wooden treasure chest that they called it, a treasure chest. Very beautiful knife, incredibly impressive. As you might imagine, all of the blades are difficult to pull out at the same time, to have out at the same time. The knife turns into a little porcupine and is almost impossible to handle when all blades are out. But there are display mounts made for this knife that will hold this knife up in the air on a pedestal, and they usually mount inside this knife in the liner, where the liners or where one of the blades would go. And it's pretty popular to display this knife with all blades out. I hope this showed what a Pius Lang multi-blade knife looks like. And if you have any questions, please contact us at the contact number included. Thank you.